Hey guys, this is director and host Ray Janjua. Welcome to Thor. This episode's very special. It's called Supreme Victory. We're going to be talking about Killer Instinct Gold, and the rebooted Killer Instinct. The whole Killer Instinct franchise is going to be featured in this pod. I'm going to be joined by Z, and we're going to be talking about the speed of this game, our fondness for the characters, the memories we have about the score, because we used to have the Killer Cut CD, and we still listen to it fondly. And it's going to be a really fun episode. So please tune in, like, share, and subscribe to the House of Rest. This is Supreme Victory. So this special of the podcast is named after the best victory that you can get. So, if you've done all your ultra combos, you've nailed them, both rounds have been succeeded, you get Supreme Victory. So that's what we feel about this franchise. I love Killer Instinct a lot because Killer Instinct was a faster MK, a faster Street Fighter. It was basically just something different. And I really love the characters, Glacius, Cinder, Orchid, just Thunder and all the guys, Jago, they just looked so epic, and the game was a very fun, really cool thing. I actually got introduced to the game by Z. So Z, jump in. Welcome to the show, and we've been back after a little bit of a break. So. Tell people, about Killer Instinct, man. Give me your thoughts on it.
Yeah, awesome, man. Hello, everyone. We're here talking on T.O.R about Killer Instinct, which is a 2013 video game. We're obviously talking about the rebooted game,
so we're
talking about the classics as well, the classic N64 games, which were Killer Instinct 1 and 2. Killer Instinct 2 was on the N64 and Killer Instinct 1 was on the SNES and the arcade, and we love these games to bits. I mean, they're amazing games. They're very intense, they're very fast, they're very kind of flashy with combos and ultra combos, and we love the sound effects, we love the characters so much. And I think if we go back 20 odd years, 25 odd years,
it's got to be about 20 years, right?
Yeah, I think about 20 years.
1994.
1994, yeah. Out. So it was a very kind of mid-90s game where we were introduced to this new fighting game.
Midway.
Everybody obviously knew about Street Fighter. Everybody knew about Mortal Kombat. But then this game by Rare. And this was when Rare were on a high. They had Banjo-Kazooie, they had GoldenEye. I think actually GoldenEye came out after this game, but
this is one of their. This is one of their first pioneering games, if memory serves me, because this kind of put Rare. This is like one of the games that put Rare on the map. This is even before GoldenEye days.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? This is like the infancy of Rare. In that, what I call the golden years of Rare, where Rare really were giving us quality, they had passion, and they weren't absorbed into Microsoft, because I feel personally, the way Microsoft were kind of handling Rare after their acquisition, it's only recently that they've started to step up and use Rare as a studio that it once was. There was a period during the kind of Xbox 360 era where Rare were kind of dormant. It was more like we bought the company and we're not using anybody on it. Do you remember
when they had that weird Rare collection of games, like Microsoft?
They did try on the Xbox One to bring out like a few of the old licensed tie-ins that they could do. At some point, it was rumored that GoldenEye was going to be a part of it, but because of Danjak and the Broccolis, the licensing issues with MGM, that's always been a source of contention for them and a frustrating point, because people have tried to bring it back. Praise be to Phil Spencer for trying to push it. They've tried many times to try and bring it out.
Even to the people in the community, like the modders and other independent developers who've made awesome little demos and stuff that's even better than GoldenEye crappy Rogue Agent. I'll just say that.
Oh, I hate Rogue Agent. I remember buying that and feeling it was a massive waste of money because that had a lot of false marketing. It kind of made me think that this would be like an alternate take on on basically GoldenEye, and there was a lot of publicity photos of you fighting Oddjob, the idea of you being one of Scaramanga's henchmen and you being a rogue agent because of your eye. That whole franchise, I could actually turn into a series. So I could basically go off into a sort of like an AU with Bondi, you know, and I think that people would go crazy for that because I would recast Scaramanga with some Christopher Lee kind of dude. I wouldn't do that digital nonsense where I'd resurrect Christopher Lee because I feel that Christopher Lee's performance is what it is, and you should preserve it on film. But people like Oddjob, there's actors out there who couldn't play Goldfinger, and the Scaramanga Goldfinger war, and the fact that they were all kind of like friends with Dr. No, and after Bond killed Dr. No, they wanted some kind of vengeance on him. I like the idea of that, and maybe even playing around with the possibility of the rogue agent being female in my kind of series. That would be quite cool. But I digress. Going back to Killer Instinct, if you haven't played the retro version, I'm talking about the 94 version, play a emulated ROM or the original if you can find an arcade. If someone's still got the retro arcade of the game, right, play that one first, because the SNES version is a heavily compressed version of the game. So if you play like the SNES version, which we used to play, that was like our first home experience with the game.
But the funny thing was is that to us at that age, we didn't see the difference until we got older.
No, it's true, because when you go to the arcade and you play it, it's got the sprite design, the special effects, and the stuff.
Power
the speed of the game and the graphical intensity are far more. There's more information there. It wasn't until I started getting into kind of arcade building and building up my own kind of retrocade systems, because I love that stuff. Did I get a proper version of Killer Instinct, like the last final build where it was very stable and fast. We'll talk more about the original. Let's talk about the current one that Double Helix made. You know, when Rare got absorbed, Microsoft and the Rare people, so, you know, like people like, you know, there was a guy who's one of the lead co-creators of the game. Yeah, Ken. So basically, Ken Loeb, right? He was he's the creative director of Microsoft Studios right now, if memory serves me correctly. But basically, he was trying to revive it for a while, and Mark also wanted to do it. Mark Betteridge, he was trying to bring Killer Instinct to XBLA. So Donna Chad Murphy also expressed interest. So these guys, if you don't know who these guys are, but basically they're the guys behind the scenes. You know, they help make Killer Instinct what it was, and they're veterans themselves. So they were trying to. Microsoft even tried in like 2012 to try and kind of like bring the trademark back. So they did file it, and then it got rejected because weirdly enough there was like one season that Fox did of some kind of show, and that automatically.
What's this?
But it's not a Killer Instinct show. It's some other show. Like some random show called The Killer Instinct. So hopefully you can go into the internet, go into deep into the internet, deep down, and find that series, and they show people on the video version of this stuff? This
it's
pod.
Like that.
You know?
It's like that. Like I said to you in our other podcast for Bill and Ted, like that weird obscure TV show that I couldn't.
Yeah, it was like
understand
it was a Canadian production, but what it was is that one channel bought the rights to Bill and Ted as a cartoon.
Yes.
So it aired on CBS, and then this one aired on like UPN or something, or Fox. Yeah. So it was very strange. And that show had,
or NBC.
That show tried hard to have all the cinematography and feel of the original.
But it was budget.
And the idea is cool because Bill and Ted could be episodic.
Yeah.
Very easily.
Yeah.
But it just didn't really kind of pan out the way they wanted it to pan out. Not to say that it didn't look bad, but the whole point of Bill and Ted is this Alex Winter and Keanu's chemistry, that makes that what it is. The characters cannot, it just doesn't work with anyone else in the roles, because it is Keanu and Alex Winter's chemistry.
Absolutely,
their chemistry with
such
George Carlin
chemistry
as well. So that triumvirate, that they had was brilliant in the first two films. But George Carlin's role was really significantly reduced in Bogus Journey. But we've covered all that in our triple
so check them
episodes
out. Check them out, please.
Thing. And also by the sort of like the launch of this one, on our YouTube side, Face the Music should come out soon. So that'll be the third in that trilogy of podcasts and reviews about the Bill and Ted franchise, and we're looking forward to seeing more Bill and Ted movies down the line.
What about like when you heard about Kill Instinct? You know when the Xbox had that funny E3 presentation?
When they had the E3 presentation,
and they were showing,
I'll be really honest,
Halo and a Forza.
Yeah.
And they had a Forza with a Porsche or something, if I remember.
Forza Horizon 1, I
GT
think.
Porsche.
Yeah.
Forza.
The GT came, if I remember correctly, they had a special where they were talking about Need for Speed's movie and the games coming out, right?
Yeah.
Hot Pursuit or whatever, the reboot.
Rivals.
They talked about, Rivals, sorry. And then they talked about the Forza, so they brought that Porsche out, that really sick Porsche. And I love Porsche a lot.
They had the
one
Porsche
of
or the 4GT, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And then they were talking about stuff.
And then out of nowhere,
they announced Kill Instinct. Everyone went mad.
They went nuts, everybody.
They went nuts.
You heard that music.
Yeah.
That thump.
Yeah, and the Killer Instinct tune is so iconic. Even to this day, I'll play it when I'm like driving and just fucking jam out to it, man. It's just so sick. I will turn the speakers up when I hear that.
It's an epic song.
When I saw the trailer, I was skeptical about the game.
Yeah.
You know, some of the character designs didn't really
they showed like a teaser.
I'm not sure how much of an early build that game was.
Yeah, because it was like what they showed was like the new Kill Instinct logo with the KI, and it had a slightly different font and a much more nicely rendered kind of logo.
Yeah.
And then they showed characters like Season 1 characters, so they showed like Jago, Cinder.
Because they went with the free-to-play mechanic where you could download the game and you'd have like 1 or 2 characters you could play. Yeah. And then as the seasons progressed, more characters would be unlocked.
That's right.
We didn't embrace any of that.
No,
you know, like we didn't buy it straight away because I never bought Xbox One. You know, I preferred the PS4 in that cycle.
That's right.
It's just an Xbox One never appealed to me. I didn't like the original launch. I didn't like the way they were talking about it being more of a satellite box. You know, that you could control with the there was a heavy emphasis on the stupid Kinect, and I didn't want any of that shit in my space.
Well, the thing is, I was like really skeptical about how the free to play system would work, because usually when there's free to play games or what I call freemium games where you have to pay for content afterwards, it doesn't seem like it's sometimes worth the content. Like, say for example, you buy a disc game, but the content is locked behind a paywall.
There was controversy on that on
MK?
Street Fighter X Tekken.
Oh yeah.
Because the Capcom, they had Pac-Man or something, and some other dude, Mega Bomberman, but he was like grown up.
Yeah, that's right.
They had him on the game.
Yeah,
he was on the disc.
Yeah.
So people were like, he's
man, Mega Man.
Yeah, so they said the data's already on the disc. Why are you asking us to pay for it to unlock it?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you're just asking for a fucking cheat code.
Street Fighter X Tekken is a wicked game as well.
It is a good game. It's a good game. But even games like Street Fighter 5 had that problem.
Yeah.
MK10 had that problem, because I remember you couldn't get that stupid Tron raiding kit without fucking downloading the stupid mobile app, downloading the stupid mobile game.
Oh, you mean like WB kind of screwed up with the whole. What I don't like about WB is they want you to have the WB ID, and I held off that. Yeah. So there was like a DC 1 in a million suit that Batman had in Arkham City or Arkham Origins. You couldn't get that. You couldn't get that Raiden Tron suit, Future Raiden they call it.
I like that.
He looks very sick though, by the way. I love Future Raiden. You know, Raiden's my G. If you guys listen to the last podcast we did on Mortal Kombat, he's my all-time guy. And Richard Epcar is just like a great actor. I'd love to work with him one day.
But then we have simply iconic characters in this franchise too.
Yeah.
So going back to that, like kind of like 2013.
Let's talk about. Forget about the development. Forget about the launch for a second. Let's talk about the game's gameplay.
Yeah.
This is one of the fastest and fun games I've played.
Yeah, but why?
Manual mode,
so
auto
good?
mode with all the ultra combos. It's so wicked to sync combos together. The speed, your rhythm when you develop it, going from your basic entry point kicks to then move into that rhythm of performing an ultra combo.
Yeah.
It's all about the combos in this game, and linking them together has never been easier. It was a lot harder in the first Mortal Kombat, and especially the second Mortal Kombat, because the Nintendo 64 controller was frankly shit for fighting games.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that, you don't have the same kind of speed and control.
This game also has that kind of different mechanic where you have 2 bars, right? You have 2 health bars.
You've always had
two-
2 health bars.
No, because it's not like rounds like Mortal Kombat or
Yeah,
Street
because
Fighter.
in Mortal Kombat 1, you always have the danger. You know, when it goes danger.
Yeah, but that's when you
And
run,
then basically,
when you get low.
danger is your last life bar. You always
Yeah.
have green and then the red life bar.
Yeah.
So, if I remember correctly, if memory serves me, Killer Instinct 1, yeah, that was special about them. They didn't have rounds.
No, yeah,
They just
exactly.
It was always 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And the 2 rounds
Are dependent on your health bar.
Yeah. So if you manage to defeat people without depleting both health bars, that's how you get supreme victory.
Absolutely.
But in the
yeah.
original Killer Instinct, you would get supreme victory if you perfected someone.
That's right. Only if you perfected them in the retro games, because it was copying that kind of mechanic, like, you know, Mortal Kombat's flawless victory. So if you perfect someone in the old Mortal Kombat and you didn't lose any health, you would get a flawless victory. But in Killer Instinct, it's called a Supreme Victory, which
I love.
Which is a joke.
But I love Supreme Victory. I love the way the guy goes, Supreme Victory!
Yeah. But what was funny in the original game is how they had those little cinematics with this word Supreme Victory.
That was very cool.
And that was all the SNES could do.
Those cinematics were actually really clear and very high-end
Crisp
on the arcade version. They're very compressed down on the SNES version. I remember I have a very nice nostalgia about the SNES version, because the SNES version was a massive deal for us.
Yeah.
It was a black cartridge.
Oh yeah.
And black cartridges were very rare, so that was like almost like a kind of like coveted collector's item. The black SNES cartridge. Z will drop up a picture for you guys to see. You know, if you because the thing is, some of our listeners are going to be from a younger generation. They're not going to have had a NES physically.
Yeah.
So, you know, we cannot really express how fondly having that piece of kit, having that hardware, you know, was back then, because the presentation was great. The print quality was amazing. You know, you used to get the manuals with the character bios in them, so you could learn about who Jago was, you know, a little bit about the lore. The one criticism I have about Killer Instinct, and I want to fix this if I make the movie franchise, is Gargos, the whole storyline with the tiger, the false tiger lord, you know, that Jago uses, and, you know, the power that he's been kind of tricked by Gargos and the other guy to absorb his skill. That hasn't been properly, you know, like Ultra Tech. All the kind of factions have been smoothed out, and they've gotten a bit more depth in the new Killer Instinct reboot, but they've made a couple of mistakes. My first criticism with this game is, although it's graphically got a new engine, they look very cartoony, the characters, and this is intentional by them, but I want to move in a different direction. I want that Unreal Engine or Microsoft to use another engine like Halo's engine or something to create a new look, like a more serious look, and like an Injustice look, going for Killer Instinct Gold. And also with Killer Instinct Gold, I want to add that gold element to the storyline, that there's some kind of elemental gold that Khan-Ra and other people have used for Gargos, yeah, and that's made a whole bunch of gold fighters, yeah, these doppelgangers, and that guy Khan-Ra is trying to, you know, like do a kind of Quan Chi kind of side thing.
Yeah.
So the whole I could write a whole movie-like storyline that deals with Jago, deals with people and stuff, you know, and deals with all that kind of that lore. So I'd actually love to have a crack. You know, I would like to talk to Major Nelson, Phil, you know, Ken and the team, and say, listen, can I write a Killer Instinct 2? So for the new Xbox, you write Killer Instinct 2. You make Killer Instinct 2 with a new engine, same dynamics and same stuff, but let me write a story that's like a movie. You know, let me get my
Killer Instinct something.
Yeah, I guess I would still call it Killer Instinct Gold, because it's obviously a reboot, and it's got the first game redone in that engine. So same gaming mechanics, but you can play the first game, the Double Helix game. So Double Helix carries on development of the game, but textures, rendering, and all the stuff are much better. And also, that's what I would do. Basically, I would work with Phil, Major Nelson, and the Rare team, and then I would love the Rep Knights to basically have a shot at writing the storyline for Killer Instinct Gold. So I would call the new Killer Instinct Gold, basically. So yeah, moving on. The characters. So I'm gonna start right off with like some of the newer characters. Like Sidera is like Pree's favorite character. She loves Sidera. Like she'll always pick Sidera whenever we play, which is really fun. You know, she's really good with her. The other lady, I've forgotten her name. She's like Shin Hazako. You know, like Hazako and Shin Hazako. She has two forms. That's very interesting. How she has two forms. She's one of the only characters that has two forms, which is very interesting. Then you've also got...
But I mean, we've got all the major returning characters coming back in this game,
Jago's great. You know, you've got Glacius, you've got Cinder. They've all got updated looks. So Cinder's got this kind of nanotech kind of fuel suit, I call it. So there's some kind of like core or energy that he has that powers him. You know, like, so he's right, and he's got that same kind of cocky, brash, ex-thief kind of attitude to him, which is always fun. And he's really good in the game. He's quite good. He's got like Inferno. He's got his original Trailblazer. Trailblazer, by the way, is like one of my all-time favorite tracks. I just jam to that all the time. Also, Glacius looks a little bit different in this one. I like to use his retro kit. I
he's
personally
got this
don't like
of funky alien.
He's more of an ice alien. Yeah, like an elemental alien.
Yeah, and then we've got characters like classic Saberwolf, who's a Lycan.
Saberwolf looks amazing, and then he's got this wicked kind of Professor Frankenstein kind of, you know, the kind of retro eyeglasses look. And I love playing as that Saberwolf. I think Saberwolf is a very cool character.
What I love about this game is that they have all these little nuanced costumes, which have like little harkbacks to different pop culture references, like obviously
Rip.T.O.R or whatever that guy's name is, Riptide or Rip.T.O.R. Rip.T.O.R, that raptor creature. He's very cool. And he's got that mechanical look. Spinal looks really good in this game still. He's got his classic laugh. Yeah. You know, like, and it's very hard to do that laugh. I can't really do it. It's like, it's like really, really sick. And they used to kind of like sample it in the Killer Cuts, the tracks, which was really cool. And his bony tune, you know, that ding 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 ding, you know, that tune was so wicked, man. Like,
what do you think of the Fulgor's new
Fulgor looks wicked. He looks like a kind of Predator, Terminator kind of robot. I love that. His retro kit's good, but his newer kit's better. And then there's this black kit. Like, not a black kit, but basically when you take like his kit and color him black, he looks insane.
More better looking, like he used to look different, like young when he was in the old.
I thought he was more kind of childlike and a bit of a baby looking kind of character and like very chubby. He looked very kind of chubby and
I think that was just maybe because of the rendering at that time.
I can't really answer that. Like, but they did sort of like make it in his FMV that he was like a kid robot and prototype. But the Fulgor that you actually see in the game, he's very powerful. He has like even like a unibeam kind of blast on his chest kind of thing. So he's like Guyver.
Bigger blades.
He's got kind of like the peck blasters like
so that's
Guyver.
What it is.
It's like
Mr.
Guyver.
So he's a mix. Fulgor is such a mix of Predator. Because he's an assassin killer.
So the Predator blade thing that comes out.
The blades he's got like Predator.
Yeah.
He's got the ponytail kind of look like some other character.
Yeah.
And then he's got pieces on him that look like Guyver. So the chest RT kind of unibeam look. Yeah. The laser beams.
Guyver's a very big franchise for me. I want to actually make a miniseries in Japan. So it's a cross production. So it's an American and Japanese production, but it's got a Japanese cast, but they speak Japanese and English, so I shoot both versions of the film. So when people want to watch the English version with the English audio, the Japanese actors speak the English dialogue, and so it's not dubbed, you know, and then they also speak the Japanese one with subs, and it would have accurate Zoanoids, the Zoalords, it would have cool. Proper Guyver 1, Guyver 2, and Guyver 3. And I would probably diverge it and carry on when he becomes Guyver Gigantic or, the final... He basically has a final Guyver look that he returns as after he's taken out by the Zoalord.
It needs to go like proper Ultraman. Like he grows into a big dude and fights off a Godzilla.
That would be funny. I probably wouldn't go that far, but what they did try to do in the Steve Wang ones, if I remember correctly, Steve Wang did them with David Hayter, innit?
The original.
I love those guys because Drive is like one of my all favorite films. But basically, it would be nice to have David Hayter back as the voice of Guyver, so maybe when the Japanese actor transforms into Guy, but David Hayter voices it.
Yeah,
like maybe,
that would be sick.
Because David Hayter, I think he could do Japanese too. He could speak Japanese.
Yeah,
but
he's
I'll have
badass.
to check with him on that. But I'd love to do a Guyver franchise. The Guyver's a big deal to me. I love it, and I still love those old films, man. I thought they were fun.
So going back to Killer Instinct, how do you feel like about the gameplay and the mechanics of this game?
Gameplay's fast, super fluid. I love it. Problems I have with the game is like there's clipping errors, with like Jago and some of the maquettes and stuff. There's a bit of quality control that's kind of been missed, but that could have been just for the rushed kind of crunch time that they had. They just wanted to release something for the Xbox, and I feel like this is one of the biggest mistakes that Xbox was doing at that time. They were concentrating on hardware and hardware features like, oh, this is a satellite thing, this is a, you can use the Kinect, which I never liked. They're like, oh, we turn Xbox on and turn on and give me sport and give me some frisbees and popcorn, make my popcorn in the machine. It's like, like they wanted basically something to dominate the entire kind of AV playground, in your setup. Nobody wanted that. People just wanted like the same kind of sick library of games that the 360 gave you, but more hardware. So then they started coming into that direction after. So like the Xbox One X and stuff were like hardcore, massive terabytes, teraflops of information. But they were throwing specs at us and saying, oh yeah, Xbox X is the most powerful console. But I'm like, yeah, okay, so you made Xbox X and then you made a new Xbox X, and now everything's going to be called Xbox Series X going forward, and then you've got the S series and then the X series. That's all fine. The hardware is great, but you can't even get one. So you can't even get Xbox X.
Yeah.
So concentrate on getting the hardware out. Stopping scalpers from getting it. And this is also for you, Sony. You listen to this. This is a very bad situation that's going on. I know you've got there's a sort of like a shortage in chips, right now. So you have problems with like silicone chips, or those, I was about to say isolinear chips, but they don't exist. That's Star Trek. But basically, you're having problems with chips for boards. You're having hardware shortages. It's not right to boast about a console selling so many units when most of those units are going into scalpers' hands and not actually gamers. So that's just something that I think you really have to take a look at, please, because people are being denied the chance to just have fun. They want to spend their money on the console, get the games, get the library, get the hardware, and have that uniformed release. I want to be able to go in a store. I want to be able to see the Xbox and see the PS5. Okay, so what games do they got? Okay, Halo, yeah, I want to play that. Okay, this one's got Horizon Zero Dawn, I want to play that. Okay, so I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to get that hardware. I want those controllers. And tell the retail guy, can you just box that up for me, and I'm out the door.
Yeah.
I want that. I no longer want to sit in a freaking queue, wait for the pre-order to come, and then I'm in the queue, and then when I try to add it to the basket, I'm back at the start of the queue.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? I don't want to camp out.
Horrible.
I don't want to camp out for the hardware. That's why I've basically not bought one. I just didn't bother. I cancelled my pre-order because I was like, forget all this stuff. There was no point. There's nothing to play. There's Miles Morales is wicked. Don't get me wrong. I played it with Z. And I've seen the hardware. I've played the PlayStation 5 hardware. I've experienced it, but there's nothing to drive me to go and wait in line and push myself and kill myself to try and get this hardware. It's the same thing with Xbox X. I've seen the Xbox X, like a display model in the shop, and I looked at it and I'm like, okay, yeah, the hardware looks really sick. I love the fan. I love the design of it. The cooling. I love those memory cards. We did a preview on it when it was new. We were really hyped up about it. But where's the games? I want to see a Halo Infinite in its final form. I want something new. And they've announced all these kind of wicked studio acquisitions, but nothing's coming out. Another Killer Instinct already should have come out. It should have been a launch title.
The thing is that this game is now clocking on 6, 7, 8 years now. I mean, the last kind of Steam update it had was like 2017. And when the game came out, obviously it had its kind of like 3 seasons, isn't it? And it's like a freemium game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost unheard of though, and I digress. This hardware debacle, this kind of whole thought out process. I know COVID has also been a major factor. I mean, this is a terrible pandemic. My thoughts go out to everybody who during this trying time. Even my family has suffered from this thing, so I can understand, what it's like to have this pandemic, and there's obviously priorities. People want to live and they want to do stuff. They want to move forward with their lives, but don't sort of dangle like a carrot in front of someone. Look, there's this new hardware and there's this new console and this new card that you must get for your new system, and then when people do want to buy that stuff, they can't get it. Like just tell people, look, guys, honestly, we want to release this, but we can't get people in the lab. We can't get the transistors and the parts. Just wait. If you had told people the truth, they would have been a little bit more kind of receptive of that and understanding, instead of saying, look, they're out there and you can kind of wait in the queue. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So come and step up the game a bit with that. You guys are huge companies, got a lot of money, get that quality control, get that marketing right, focus on the people who helped build your companies, the foundations of them. PlayStation was built by the gamers. There wouldn't be a PlayStation 5 without people buying the PlayStation 1. So remember those guys who were early adopters of your console and backed you, to become the dominant console. Microsoft's the same thing,
and it's funny.
Remember the people who had the first Xbox.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's funny you say that, because Double Helix and Iron Galaxy wouldn't have made this game if it wasn't for the original games.
Exactly.
Like the original SNES game, the original N64 titles, the arcade origins of these games.
Because they've been trying to revive it for a while.
Yeah.
And they did a good job. It's a fun, great game. Doesn't cost the earth. I'd highly recommend you pick it up. We didn't buy it though, from paying for all the files, did we? I didn't get the Xbox One version of the game or the freemium model version of the game. Okay. I bought the Steam version of the game when I had some Steam credit. I had some spare money. I was like, I'm just going to get Killer Instinct, because it had dropped hard. It was on some kind of offer.
But it was a good buy.
And it was one of the sickest purchases I ever got, because, it was just, I just didn't have time. I was going to get it, but I just was so busy. I was just thinking, I'm going to get that with the Xbox One. But I just never got around to buying the Xbox One. It never drew me in. Yeah. There was just so many great things I could do on the PS4. There was no need for that hardware. And then instantly it became redundant. There was no need for Xbox X or Xbox S or
because the PC version that we have runs really nicely. It runs at 60 frames a second.
It loses a couple of shields, not shields, but I was gonna give this game about 5 shields because I just love it. I love Killer Instinct a lot. But it will get about 4 shields because it's stable. The netcode, like you said, is good. It's a very stable and fast game. It runs at 60, but the screen tearing that I can't fix properly on the Steam version, and it crashes when I close the game, and no patch has fixed that. Yeah. And also, there was another problem with the story mode. Yeah. The story mode I have a big problem with, because if you're making a big game, and if Mortal Kombat can do a massive thing, and even Street Fighter 5, which has a terrible story. Yeah. Yeah, you get what I mean? You bring Charlie back, then you kill him, then you bring him back, you kill him again. It's so stupid. Yeah, it's I don't like any of that.
Stop killing Charlie, the best character.
He's one of the best characters in the entire franchise.
Thanks, man. Capcom.
Yeah. So you got to bring him back and bring him back properly, okay? Just don't kill him after this, right? Bring him back in Street Fighter 6 and don't kill him. So, the speed of the game is great. But the story mode has just been kind of cobbled together in a kind of rushy way.
Yeah, it's
and
very
it lacks that. It has no animation like Street Fighter had. At least Street Fighter had some animation. You could go the animation route. You could go the drawing route that Mortal Kombat did, with the FMVs. You could have at least done that, that kind of Boss Logic kind of animated 3D After Effects.
The funny thing is that the original arcade game has cinematics like Mortal Kombat. It even has better cinematics than Mortal Kombat, because Mortal Kombat could only do flat renderings, but Nintendo were pushing the boundaries with 3D rasterized graphics. Yeah. And Mortal Kombat kind of copied that system a little bit. It's the same system technically. Where it uses rasterized graphics.
But the major difference between the two games is the original sprites are clay-based animations and Killer Instinct. But the Mortal Kombat's people.
Actors.
Yeah, so that's
actors
the
and
difference.
Stunt martial artists.
Yeah, because I guess they trademarked that system, which is why that Bloodborne or whatever the thing it was called, it wasn't called Bloodsport, I think it was called Bloodborne or something like that. That's that thing that Dan Pesina did the ad for, and then he had a beef with, got fired by Midway.
Yeah.
So him and I don't know if him and Tobias have a beef. I don't think John has a beef with him, but Ed, I think it's a sore subject for Ed a bit. Where the Pesina brothers kind of did that because he doesn't really use them or talk about them too much anymore.
Let's talk about the OG games. Tell me about the original one. How we came across that.
Man, the OG games, man. You got a copy of it. You had that black cartridge, which is just like the signature thing. And that was like this freaking amazing thingy, yeah. Like it's so cool. And then
the thing that was good about that is that the artwork was good in the manual. The box art was very nice. Having a black cartridge was cool because nobody else had a black cartridge when you had a SNES.
There was like only a couple of games that had special colored cartridges. It gave it kind of like a signature.
That's right.
And that was something very special about. I mean, some of our younger listeners won't understand this, but having hardware back in the day, there was a kind of like a kinetic connection you have with your console, and that was almost like something very coveted, like almost like a collector's item and stuff. So that was very nice. And then you got Killer Cuts.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. And
they threw a CD into the game as well for free. That was
so amazing.
It was like literally we paid like, I don't know, probably back in the day it was like what, 40 quid I think for the game, or 50 quid. And they gave you a CD full of like a whole album's worth of tracks.
Yeah.
And now this album is so iconic. It is so awesome. This Killer Cuts.
It got its own legacy, man. To me,
exactly. It's just
good.
So good. We used to listen to that CD so much that we just used to keep playing it on.
Even now we still like Robin Beanland and Graham Norgate did the score.
Yeah,
I'll never forget that. I want to thank them so much for making that score because
and
that inspired me as a musician.
It's so 90s.
Yeah,
so
it's
techno.
Still to this day so wicked. It's as good as the Mortal Kombat tune.
Yeah.
If not a bit better actually, because the Immortals just did Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
But the Genesis Probe soundtrack is the one that really sticks out for me, not the actual Midway Mortal Kombat arcade tunes. They're okay.
No, but you know what's so funny? I feel that the Mortal Kombat theme, the KMDFM song, was a precursor to this music that came out with Kill Instinct.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the musical cues, a lot of the inspirations, a lot of the musical styles have been inspired by this Killer Instinct CD. And I can't stress enough how cool and nostalgic it is. It's for any people of our generation who know these games will know that CD and have listened to the music at some point. And what I love about the new game is how it kind of does a kind of rejig and a remix of all those tracks.
Yeah.
And there's some wicked new tracks on the new one, like Jago's theme is wicked. Saber Wolf's one is a nice remix. Spinal has a really cool remix, I think, of his track. Even the main Kill Instinct theme sounds amazing, done by was it Seed Weller or something is the name, the artist's name, who's done the remix of it. And
I wasn't entirely happy about it. Shen gave me a preview of them before, and I was actually quite angry. When he played them to me. I was like, forget this shit, man. I don't want to hear this remake stuff. Nothing beats the original. But she's like, try it, man. Have a listen. And I just wouldn't listen to him. I was just like in a kind of like a zone where I was like, no, man. I like the original.
It grew on us.
When I started playing the game, and I heard Tiger Spirit or Tiger Lord, that's still my favorite track. I will play that like crazy.
Absolutely.
That one, with the wicked kind of
Tibetan
it has a Tibetan kind of throat.
The throat gouging,
it's
I call it.
I don't know if it's a Mongolian thing.
Yes,
I think it's a Mongolian throat singing style.
Because Microsoft they did a little like kind of small documentary, you can watch it on YouTube, about the making of the game, and it's well worth watching because they talk to the composer, they talk to the developers about it, and we'll show a little bit in our video.
They made the GoldenEye soundtrack too. That's why they're so epic. Those two guys from the original.
I love that soundtrack as well.
This so damn Runway. facility, they're so iconic. You know, they're so iconic, those themes. You will hear it in your head or hear it play, and then you want to play the game again.
Absolutely.
And that's something that you need to remember when you're making a video game soundtrack. You have to make it very simple, iconic, and very, very good. That drives. Yeah. And this is what Killer Instinct did.
Exactly. I was going to say the same thing, is what Killer Instinct does to you as an experience. As soon as you hear it at the start, the way the game leads you into the fight kind of like that bridge between the main menu into the fight, into the selection screen, and then as soon as you go into the fight and select screen, you've got all that music that's driving you towards the fight.
Yeah, I love the instinct. You know, the actual song is called the instinct. So that you know, when you're doing the fight and select screen, you're picking the character.
Classic.
There's three versions of it. You can hear the original one if you hear the Instinct. So the Instinct has the full Killer Instinct tune, and then you know the down. I know how to play that tune. I remember learning it from hearing it, and the Instinct plays at the end after a bit of a pause. It's like a hidden track. Yeah, so Instinct is on there, and then the new version, the Instinct and Killer Instinct Gold, has a kind of a sharper speed to it. Yeah. Guitars sound a little bit different in
also,
Killer
there's
Instinct
there's like a remix of the way you move and stuff, which is a classic track on the
That's crap CD. Though. I have to say that some of the, you know, like Orchard's tune, like, which is supposed to be the way you move, it's her tune. It lacks the nuance that the original one had. It's too what the hell do they call that? Yeah, dubsteppy. Way too dubsteppy or something. It's stupid. Some of the remakes really work, like Maya's track and stuff. The Killer and Gold tracks work really well. They're very subtle and they haven't done too much to them. Tiger Lord or Tiger Spirit, whatever that new song is from Jago's wicked. The other ones are really wicked. Like, some of the people have new tracks, so they're very nice. But the classic tracks, you can't beat them. Way You Move, Trailblazer, Yeehaw, you know, It's a Jungle, Do It Now. You know, they're all amazing songs. Like, Do It Now is wicked. The Instinct is just the all-time top track. The Instinct you could just play on loop. If I could listen to one track, like I'm stuck on the desert island, I just play Instinct or Trailblazer on repeat.
And the thing is that SNES game was so iconic, even though it was like you said, it is a heavily compressed version, isn't it, of the original arcade game? Well. Yeah.
It's very slow. To do an endo corking just takes at least, like, you know, half a second or a second more than it would do on the arcade. You know, just the speed.
We would definitely stress you play on some sort of emulator.
Man, I tell you, even now, after so many years, was it 94? I don't know how many years it's been, like, off the top of my head.
25 years.
Yeah, I still haven't mastered the game properly. Like, the original Killer Instinct. Like, I'm a beast at Killer Instinct, the new one.
Yeah.
But a lot of purists would say, that's because, you know, you can leave auto on and stuff. But I play manual as well.
Yeah.
You know, but I can link combos a lot faster on Killer Instinct 2000
it's much harder to do a full-on ultra combo in the original game, because it used that principle. It being an arcade game, it had that joystick principle, isn't it? An arcade joystick.
Yeah.
And when you have an arcade joystick, you can't really play the old game with an arcade joystick, because the inputs were mapped to a crappy SNES controller. It was alright.
No. The thing is that if you play, I have the arcade stick, and I got this WWE All Stars arcade stick in my build, right, for the arcade. Those are actually the same kind of Sanwa kind of buttons. They have the same kind of attack.
Yeah.
They're very fast. They're even faster than a controller.
Yeah.
Response time and lag on there, and the rotation of the key is right. So you can do combos very fast. I've just never been able to really master Killer Instinct. It's a hard learning curve. For me, I'm just too used to having a controller.
You can play the new game definitely with arcade stick, and it plays really well. There've been so many Evo tournaments where people have been bashing out like killer combos with the arcade sticks and stuff, and their own custom arcade sticks, and playing online and in these tournaments and stuff like that. And I love seeing those sometimes because they're pretty sick. Just like the Street Fighter and the Mortal Kombat tournaments that pop up now and then. And this is what's nice, that Killer Instinct has such a lovely following of community behind it. Like, you see artwork, you see inspiration, you see cosplay, you see tournaments happen for Killer Instinct to this day still, over other games. You know, it still has that kind of cult following. It's like the third, it's not even the third, it's the other fighting game that competes with Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. I don't consider it inferior to Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, but there are elements with Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter that are better than Killer Instinct that we've mentioned. Exactly.
Story is the biggest issue with Killer Instinct, and I want to fix that. I want to make the story so good that you could easily spin off TV shows and movies based on the strength of the new linear unified gaming story that I want to create. You know, so if I ever got a chance, I'd love to have a whack at it. Something, a little bit of trivia for you guys, yeah? If you played the N64 version of Killer Instinct Gold, right? They always, and the arcade version, they always talk about Ultra 64.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, yeah, coming now on Ultra 64. Ultra 64, yeah, was the prototype name for the N64, right? But
retro.
It's actually not why they keep mentioning Ultra 64 on Killer Instinct Gold. Ultra 64 is actually the engine, you know, for Killer Instinct Gold.
That's right.
It's a proprietary engine that they created. You know,
so
it's Rare and Midway made that.
Yeah,
it used a MIPS CPU. You know, so that was something unique to them. It was a 64-bit hardware.
But that was a good engine because it could do like those kind of sprites.
That was made by Chris Stamper and Pete Cox. They invented that engine.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was good work by those guys. That it could generate really nice sprites. It could generate a really smooth frame rate. For an old game, it used to run really nicely, and the kind of kinetics of the game were very good as well.
Did you find Killer Instinct Gold faster or slower than the first one?
I thought it was a little bit. I think it was kind of the same pace, to be honest, because again,
I think both the SNES and the N64 version are slower than the arcade.
They are much slower. You look at the arcade version of Killer Instinct 2 or Killer Instinct Gold or whatever you may call it. Is it called Killer Instinct 2 in the arcade?
It's called Killer Instinct 2 in the early versions of the arcade, and then it became Killer Instinct Gold.
Right, gold is basically, and they had that gold symbol.
Yeah, so the gold one is kind of like their way of doing the Ultra Super Champions.
Because I remember they had,
kind of thing.
Because you know the first game had that wicked arcade cabinet art of Orchard on the first one, and then the second one had Maya and Tusk. I think, but it was like
Orchard had a funny kind of humiliation. They had humiliations in the game where if you defeated someone, you could put a special code in. She used to like just take her top off. You couldn't see her boobies, but the guys go and see her boobs and go crazy.
Some weird animation.
Yeah, and then they also had like knocks off the roof, which were hidden.
Oh, I love that.
So the skyscraper stage, you could knock them off, and then they would hit a car and die.
Yeah.
And then that's hidden. That's a hidden feature in the 2001.
Yeah.
The reboot.
The 2013
because I accidentally figured out how to kick someone out of the Ultratech facility and they crashed onto a car too. So that's fun, man.
So cool.
I don't know what else to talk about this game other than I give the original Killer Instinct 4 shields for being so epic and the soundtrack. I'd give it more, but I've always found it very hard to play, so that's why it loses a shield. Killer Instinct Gold, I could never really get into it or gel with the characters. Tusk and Maya and the rest of them have kind of grown on me now, but when the game came out, I just hardly touched it.
To be honest, the N64 controller made it difficult to play that game really well.
That game, I've tried to revisit on the ROMs, like to get into it, but it's a hard game to me to get into, so it just gets a flat 3. Like a 3 shields because it's an okay sequel. It doesn't really do much, but Killer Instinct Reboot gets about 4. It loses 1 shield because of the story mode and the graphical glitches and the kind of issues I had with the hardware part of the game. Gameplay, it's just wicked. Some of the guest characters, like I don't really like General Ram. Arbiter's cool. It would have been good to have other kinds of Microsoft characters, but it is what it is, but that just goes to show how kind of empty their their kind of iconic roster is. You know, like Microsoft have too much of an emphasis on Master Chief, and or you know like those kind of main characters. They're not spending enough time creating new characters.
Mm.
You know,
I would give the first Kill Instinct a 4 as well, only because at that time it was pioneering the game, and you got a fucking free CD full of music that you could listen to on the side when you weren't playing the game. That was a big deal. So you go listen to the music. This is like 90s eras we're talking about, guys. Listen to the music. Go play the game. Listen to the music. When you're not playing the game, you listen to the music.
But that's also why you could listen to the soundtrack of the games on the Saturn and the PlayStation because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like I think that started that trend. Cooler. You know.
And then I would give Kill Instinct Gold maybe 3 or maybe 3.5 if I'm being really generous, because it's still quite a fun game to muck about in. And then the new Kill Instinct, the 2013 version, which is the most current game we have so far, Kill Instinct, I'd definitely give a solid 4.
Can't believe it's a 2013 game. There's been such a massive gap.
I know.
We're in 2021 now. There's been another Kill Instinct, man. I'm getting thirsty.
And
I'm thirsty
Microsoft
for the Kill Instinct.
To do something about it because they've been sitting on that IP for like donkey's years now. So yeah, that's our love for Kill Instinct.
I think we need to revive it. I'd love to do a movie. You know, I want to get the rights for it because too many people have gotten the rights for it and screwed it up. But I love Killer Instinct. I want to thank the guys for making the game. I'm going to thank Microsoft and Phil and everyone for like bringing a Rare team for bringing the whole franchise back. This has been a really cool and nice kind of trip down memory lane with the nostalgia of the original 2 Killer Instincts and the new one. I'm very happy with the way the franchise is going. I want to see more. And yeah, I just want to thank everyone for listening to this podcast. Just subscribe, share. You know, Thor is a great show. I love doing it. I love talking about stuff I love. Gaming, tech, and movies with my bro Z and Zan. So it's really, really cool.
Make sure you do those ultra combos. And we'll definitely see you guys on the next episode.
Yeah, we'll catch you out there, guys. Thanks for listening.